Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is Heather with Creativity by Heather BE. Today I am showing you the 5 cards 1 Brutus Monroe inspiration box, and this is the Bountiful Harvest box. This box has, as always, a great stamp set. It has some fun extras that came in the box this time. So you get all these different leaves, and then the 4 sentiments: you're invited, autumn greetings, sweater weather, and warm hugs. You also, as always, get the ribbon that comes with coordinating with the kit. I did cut up a piece of this orange for a card that I just couldn't wait to get into the box. So there's the orange ribbon. It's a really pretty color orange, and I will be using that in a card. As always, you get your charm, and this one's an adorable little husk that goes with the kit. And then the panels. I loved the panels in this kit. These are probably my favorite panels from any kit so far. These panels are great because you can watercolor them, you can foil them, you can color them with marker, you can leave them just how they are. We're going to use the apple one right there in the very first card, and we're also going to use that pumpkin, some of the pumpkin one in another card. With this kit, you also get some Glitterstock. I love the kits that come with Glitterstock. The Brutus Monroe Glitterstock is so awesome. It cuts great through the die cut machine, and the glitter doesn't come off. So the 2 colors that you get are Mocha and what's the other one? You get Mocha. I can't remember what the other color is. It'll come to me. But in this kit, you also get these adorable little kind of tags. And the sentiments were designed to fit, or I guess the tags were designed to fit the sentiments, which is really nice. They're on Kraft paper. And I must mention, the box is sold out. However, the nice thing with Brutus Monroe is the contents are sold separately. You get some maple surface ink, which I love the maple surface ink, and I'm going to show you from the swatch. If you've watched my videos, you've seen my swatch sheet before. So that's the maple color. And then you also get a ton of dies with this set. Now these dies don't coordinate with the stamp set. They actually cut out separate leaf dies, and we're going to use those in 2 of the cards. There's so many different shapes and sizes. You really get a lot of great dies with this kit. These are the flat back pearls, and these do come in multiple kits, and they're some of my favorite sequins. I love them. They're so easy to put onto a card, and they come in gorgeous colors. And I love these in the kit. Look at these teeny tiny little envelopes. So these are like little invitations or little teeny tiny cards that you can do. So just love those. So we're going to get started. Card 1, as I told you, we're going to use that apple panel. And I am using the Brutus Monroe Aqua Pigments. They are a watercolor, liquid watercolor. And I am using my paintbrush is a little bit wet there, but I am going to use a water brush to kind of smooth that out. And I actually ended up not using the water brush for most of this. I ended up just using the Aqua Pigments just straight with a dry brush. When you use them with just the dry brush, the colors are so vivid, and I really wanted this panel to stand out. I just loved all the apples, and we're going to go in with green and do the leaves, and then go back in with some brown. There's some branches that are through it. And I decided to use turquoise for the background, almost like the sky, so it would really pop the apples off of the panel. So I'm going to show you just a few of these, and then I'm going to skip through it. It's pretty much the same. You can see me doing the branches. It was very relaxing, but with a 5 cards 1 kit, we would be here until the next kit came out. So there you can see how gorgeous it is. And it was so easy. These panels make it so easy. So what I have done is die cut the word hello from the Mocha Glitterstock. And I had actually cut this out with some green Glitterstock that I had at first, because I thought about doing the hello in green glitter, and it kind of faded into the background. So I had cut it with green and then 3 on white cardstock just to give it some dimension. So what I'm going to do is actually take this Mocha hello and put that right on top of it. So you can see there I was trying out different ribbons, and I did decide to use a green ribbon. This was from a previous kit. I want to say maybe from the fairy kit, but this is from a previous kit. I always keep whatever ribbons I don't use, and I end up using them in other cards. So I just decided to put that on the bottom. I wrapped it around the bottom, and now I'm gluing down my hello. And I don't know if that box shows up in a lot of videos. That is actually a cement box that I bought originally, I want to say at the Container Store, to keep my Lawn Fawn chamois in, but it's great to hold stuff down. So there you can see the finished card with the Glitterstock on the bottom and that gorgeous panel that was so easy. Guys, I am not a watercolorer, and I don't even know if that's a word, but I'm not a watercolorer, and you could see how simple that was. So for card number 2, I wanted to do some partial die cutting. So what I did first was cut the leaves from a plain panel, and then I decided it's probably going to be easier to do the panel ink blended first and then go back in and cut the leaves. So that's what I'm going to do. So I wanted to do sort of an ombre effect. So I'm using the maple that came in the kit. Then I'm going to use the Macchiato and then Suede on the bottom. So I'm just going to go in and ink blend this all out. And then I'll go back in and lay my dies down and cut the panel out. So once I get the dies cut out, I am going to cut this panel down a little bit. That did not get recorded. Just so if you're trying to reproduce this card, you'll understand how it became the same length. So what I'll do is after I get the die cuts in, then I'll go in and cut it back so that it's still the same standard A2 size panel. What I was saying about the cement box. The cement box did not do so well for keeping my Lawn Fawn chamois from drying out, but it works awesome as weight. When I glue things down, it holds a lot of my extra die cuts that I've colored and didn't necessarily use on a card, so I have found good use for it. It was very inexpensive, and I do like it, so that I realized when I was editing this video, that box shows up in a lot of my videos, so in case you were wondering, that's what it is. And I actually don't even use the Lawn Fawn chamois anymore. I started using the Brutus Monroe Squeaky Clean with a rag, and that's what I use from now on, so it's kind of nice. I like the Lawn Fawn chamois, but it's nice not having to get it wet all the time. So I'm just finishing up the Suede on the bottom, and this blending isn't perfect blending, but I didn't necessarily want it to be. I wanted it to kind of look rustic, and there's some areas where it's a little darker, but I like the way it came out. So I've ran these through the die cut machine, and you're going to see a lesson here. So I put the purple tape on, which I love purple tape, but my card panel was not completely dry when I put that panel on. I put it on as soon as I was done inking it. So at the top, it did tear my paper a little bit. But all I'm going to do is go in and take my maple ink and go right over it, and you're never going to see it. So you can see how I die cut the leaves, and what I did is I lined them up on the paper where they were hanging off the edge. So it wasn't a partial die cut in that I didn't run the whole panel. It was partial in that the dies weren't completely on the paper. So it's a little bit easier. There's a card I did for a Hero Arts kit where I actually did partial die cutting, where I ran it right up to the end. So this is a little bit easier. So I decided to place my panel in its tangerine Glitterstock. That's what it is. The Mocha and the tangerine are the two that come in the kit. And I'm actually using the tangerine here. So I'm going to glue my panel down to the tangerine Glitterstock. And I'm using the Brutus Monroe Kraft glue here. And I do believe that the concrete box or some heavy acrylic blocks is what I use to hold this down. Sometimes with the glitter, you need something really heavy to make sure it adheres. I love using liquid glue now because I can position it. So there you can see once it's dried, and now it's just like a puzzle. I'm just going to take those pieces, and I did cut the leaves from 4 sheets of paper of cardstock that came in the kit. I'm not sure what the names of these are. It almost looks like butter, pumpkin, Marcella maybe, and Macchiato. But these are cards that come in the cardstock that comes in the kit. So I've got those added, and I just glued them down. And now I'm going to add my sentiment. I'm going to add the sentiment Sweater Weather, and I'm going to heat emboss this with the October embossing powder of the month. I tell you, every month the embossing powders just get better and better. If you are not a subscriber to the embossing powder of the month and you love embossing, oh, I'm showing you, I lost one of my magnets. It was stuck to my remote. But anyway, if you love embossing, you have got to sign up for the Embossing Powder of the Month Club. It is only $8 a month, and the colors just keep getting more gorgeous. This one is golden gourd, and it looks just like pumpkin spice. Doesn't it look like a pumpkin spice you'd have in your pantry? And when you emboss it, you'll see here in a moment, it's this gorgeous, almost goldish brown color. It's a perfect fall color. And oh my goodness, wait until you see November's. You guys, I'm telling you, if you love embossing powder, sign up for the Embossing Powder of the Month. It's only $8 a month. You can cancel it at any time, and you also get additional. So there you can see how gorgeous that is. And there's our box again. And I am going to add some of the flat back pearls. And I love the colors in this kit. The browns and golds, and there's some like a deep, almost like cranberry color. And there's like a white pearl color. So I'm going to add some of those on and add some Tonic Shimmer, Nouveau Shimmer Pen to my leaves. And that completes card number 2. I love this card. I think it's so warm and just inviting. It reminds me so much of fall. So for card number 3, I am going to use the little teeny tiny invitation note cards. Just think these are so cute. And the envelopes, I was done. When I saw the envelopes, I'm like, oh my goodness, these are perfect. I don't know that these are in the Brutus Monroe shop right now, but if they do come out, I will go back in and add the link to the video. So I'm using this gorgeous pumpkin background. It's similar to the apple one, but what I decided to do was to cut out 2 of the pumpkins. One of them, which is the one I'm cutting here, and I'm not going to put you through all this fussy cutting, is this pumpkin, and then I'm going to cut a leaf separately, and then I'm going to cut a second one where I'm going to leave the leaf attached. So there will actually be 2 pumpkins on the front. And I'm going to foil these. So these panels are printed with an ink where you're able to foil them. So as long as you have some type of heat, a laminator, I know some of you have like the Mink, anything like that that'll apply heat that you can foil with. You can use those panels on. And I've used them a lot of times if I needed like a quick birthday card to just pull one out. So I'm going to use the You're Invited stamp, and I love the size of these stamps. They're a good size. So I decided to stamp it on the envelope. And then I'm going to add the 3 little leaves you can see on the acrylic block over there to the right. I'm going to add those under it just to kind of give it a little bit more decoration and make it a little more fancy in fall. And I am using Raven Detail Black ink. And I'm pushing probably more than I should have on this, but I knew I only had 1 shot and I did not want to waste one of the envelopes. So I'm making sure I have a really good impression on this one. And I'm going to take the maple ink and stamp out the 3 little leaves. And I love the stamp set in this kit because the leaves are so many different sizes. There's, I believe, 2 really large ones, and then you've got some medium-sized ones and some small ones. So I love the variation of stamps. I'm going to stamp that onto my envelope, and then I'm going to take my 2 pumpkins and I am going to foil them with the gold and the orange. So you can see how cute that envelope is. So I've mentioned this in videos before, but when you're foiling, I've got the gold up on the brown up on the stem, and then I'm going to lay the gold over on the leaf, and then I can take the orange for the pumpkin and lay that right over top of everything. The nice thing about when you're foiling in layers is it's going to foil whatever is directly touching the ink or whatever you're using, whether it's the foil gel, the transfer gel. And so you don't have to worry about cutting everything precisely. So once I kind of have these laid down, then I can just lay my orange right over top of it and we're good to go, which is what I'm going to do. The one over on the left is the pumpkin I showed you cutting at where I was cutting it, and then the bottom is the leaf that I cut separate. And these turned out so much prettier than I even imagined they would. You know, the magic, kind of like embossing, and you pull those off, and there you go. Just how gorgeous that is. And I am going to go back in with a YR04 Copic marker and color in the white areas. And I'm going to use an E13 for the stem. I decided to leave the leaves alone. They had a lot of kind of shimmer in them, and I didn't want, there wasn't really a Copic marker that I can match up with it. It was going to be too flat. So I just left the leaves the way they were. So I am going to go in with my YR04, and I'll have all this linked below for you. And go ahead and color that in. And I'm not doing any shading at all. I'm just going in and filling in the white areas, basically, is what I'm doing. I just didn't want the stark white. You can see there the difference. It really makes a difference in the pumpkins. And there you can see the two in the little leaves. It's so simple. All I did was cut them out and put some foil on them. I mean, these little invitations couldn't be easier, and I will definitely be making more of these. So I am going to glue the one on the left. I'm using the Kraft glue, and I'm going to glue that directly to the paper, and with the leaf behind it. And the one on the right that has the leaf attached, I'm going to use some fun foam so I can elevate that one just to give it a little bit dimension so they're not laying flat on each other. So I'm just positioning that leaf in behind and adding my pumpkin on top. So simple. This is ready to go. I can open it up and write inside the times and who it's to, RSVP, things like that. So love this. This was just so fun. It was so different and so easy to do. So for card number 4, I am going to be using this panel that I created using the Aqua Pigments, and I will link a video on Wednesday on how I made that, because the video is for our blog hop, and so I want to wait until that post goes up, but then I will link a video showing you how I made that. I used the yellow, orange, and brown aqua pigments, and then I added something a little bit extra to my water to create that background. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking all of the leaves and I'm just laying them out in random places so they'll kind of fit, some upside down, some sideways, some hanging off, just laying them on here so they all fit. And this was where it was really nice to have the different sizes. So once I had everything laid where I wanted, I'm going to pick it up with my Misty Door, and you can see there's one up at the top that I'm going to grab here in a moment that I forgot. So there were so many leaves in this set. So I'm using my anti-static powder tool, and I did take some repositionable tape and adhere my panel down just so it didn't move on me. And I'm going to stamp that out. And I'm going to be using the gilded embossing powder for this one. I was going to use the golden gourd, but I want to use that in the sentiment, so I decided to use the gilded, which is a gorgeous gold color from Brutus Monroe. So once I have that down, I'm going to carefully pick that up and cover the panel with the gilded embossing powder. So I'm just dumping it all over. And this is why I love to use the coffee filters, because I can dump the whole entire jar out if I want to, and especially when I'm doing a panel like this, then I can just pick up the coffee holder, cannot talk today, pick up the coffee holder and just dump it right back into the jar, because I certainly don't want to waste any of my embossing powder. And there you can see, and I love, 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 and I've said this before, how the Brutus Monroe embossing powders, they don't stray. Very rarely will you have some where it's not where it's supposed to be, and a lot of that is from the Brutus Monroe ink as well. So you can see how gorgeous that gilded is, and I've got everything heat set, and now I'm going to work on my sentiment. So I'm going to use the Warm Hug sentiment again, and I was originally going to use that oval, and then I decided I wanted to use the other label. So I'm going to stamp this out, and I am going to emboss this with the golden gourd again. So this is the same one that we used on card number 2, the sweater weather one. So I'm just inking that up. And one of the nice things about the Brutus Monroe clear embossing ink is that it stays wet. So you have time. So I've got that laying there and I can, you know, I've got time to do other things. It's not like, I know, have you had that panic sometimes where you're afraid the embossing ink's going to dry and then your powder's not going to stick, and you don't have to worry about that with the Brutus Monroe embossing ink. It stays wet for a while, which is really nice. So I'm going to use my tweezers to pick this up because the sentiment did take up the majority of that little panel, and so I didn't want to put my finger in it, which I am famous for doing. So I'm just dumping it. I swear I've said it. I know it looks like pumpkin pie spice. It makes me hungry when I see this embossing powder. So I'm just checking to make sure I have everything covered. And I'm going to heat set this. Still hanging on with my tweezers. This is a great trick to not burn your fingers. So I decided that I wanted to take some of the maple ink and just kind of go around the edges, which I liked it. But then, as with always, I can't leave stuff alone, so I decided to ink up the entire panel and use a cloth to clear off the embossing, almost like an emboss resist, and it came out pretty dark. I wish I would have left it alone, but we went with it. It came out okay. As you'll see in some of the pictures, it looks a little bit more dark there. So I wanted to use this gorgeous ribbon, so I decided to wrap a piece around it horizontally and then wrap another piece vertically over on the edge. And I wasn't sure where I was going to put my sentiment, and I actually decided to put it down in the corner. I'm going to put a piece of fun foam on the back of it to give it a little bit of dimension. And I didn't want that part up there to be so bare since I decided not to put my sentiment there. So I am going to use a piece of ribbon and tie just a small bow and attach that with a glue dot. And I don't add bows to my cards very often because I am awful at tying bows. And I was actually watching a video the other day and I saw a YouTuber, and I'll link the video below, and they just made it look so easy, and I was like, I can try that, and it actually came out pretty good. So if you struggle to tie bows, watch the video and it will help you. I can't remember who it was, but I'll link it down below. So I just attached my bow with a glue dot, and there we go. I love the background on this one. Those Aqua Pigment watercolors make it so easy to create gorgeous backgrounds and add some embossing, and there you go. Okay, so for our final card, I decided that I wanted to do some non-traditional colors, and I wanted to use the dyes. So I am using a piece of Cabbage cardstock from Brutus Monroe as my base, and then I'm using Rouge, Aubergine, and C for my colors that I'm going to die cut out my leaves. Excuse me. So I'm going to stamp my sentiment first, and then I'm just going to add the die cuts around it. So this is going to be actually similar to the last card as far as the background, but it's going to be with die cuts. So when I went to use my warm hugs, I realized that I forgot to clean it from where I had embossed it. So I am using the Brutus Monroe Squeaky Clean. This stuff is the best ever. And I know I say that about so many Brutus Monroe products. And guys, I'm telling you, I would not endorse and be a part of a team of a company that I didn't believe in their products. And this stuff is so awesome. It smells so good. There's no chemical smells, and it cleans so well. And you'll see I'm going to use it again here after I'm done stamping. I am going to stamp this out in the Detail Raven black ink, and you'll see how quickly and easily this cleans up. This has become one of the products, and we all have them, where when it starts to get low, we kind of go into panic mode and have to make sure we have more order, just in case, you know, the post office is delayed or something happens to our shipment. This has become one of those crafty items, and you can see there how easily it wipes up. So once I get that stamped out, I'm just going to go through and die cut all of the leaves in the different colors, and I'm going to lay them out here. So I've got the Aubergine, and then the Rouge, and then the Sky. And I've also got the C that I'm laying out there, and I'm just going to take these and just add them to the card in random places, random orders. So I'm just laying each of them out, and I'm letting them overlap. I'm going to go back in and trim them. And I love these dies because when you cut them, they're made where they almost kind of become three-dimensional if you want them to. So you can see some of them I've kind of curled up or I'm lifting up the leaves. And when I glue those down, I'm just going to glue one of those sides. So I'm going to keep some of them a little bit three-dimensional. And this is a card that I will hand deliver. I won't mail this one, just so that way they don't get smashed. The 3 dimension of the leaves doesn't get smashed in an envelope going through the mail. So I'm just randomly, again, going in, laying these out. It's like doing a giant puzzle. I love to do puzzles and don't always have time in my life to do them. So it's nice to kind of bring some of that technique or that fun into my cards. And, you know, we all have those things we love, but when I get time to do something, I want to craft and I want to make cards. So it's nice to kind of pull that in. So I've got everything laid out and I'm going to glue these down with liquid adhesive. And as you can see there, I'm only going to glue some of them just one side down, or some of them I may only glue it the stem down the middle, just to give them that dimension and kind of that 3D look as if they're popping up off the card. I really like this card. I love doing it with the non-traditional colors. I live in Houston, and so we've been having 80s and 90s weather, although today it has dropped pretty cold. And I say cold comparatively speaking for us, but it was kind of nice to do a card that didn't have the traditional fall colors, just as something a little bit different. But I still wanted to use that warm hug sentiment. I thought it was still a warm and inviting card. So I'm just gluing all of these down. And I'm going to go in and cut off all those edges. And you can see there I've got all the edges cut. And you can see how some of the cards some of the leaves are raised and not completely glued down. And I wanted to go in and fill in some of those open areas. So I'm using Nuvo Crystal Drops, and this is Blue Babe, which matched perfectly with the Sea Cardstock, and Crushed Grape, which also matched perfect with the Aubergine. I couldn't really find one that I had that worked with the Rouge, which was okay because the two colors filled it in enough, and the Rouge is so bright and vibrant. So there's the final card. So those are the 5 cards with this kit. I really hope that you've been inspired and that you will check out the kit, check out the stamp set, and all of the extras that come with the kit that are available separately. And if you don't have the kit, I hope this inspired you to try some of these techniques and to make some of these cards using products that you do have. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a fabulous day.